What happened to Wenda? Why is she scared and shaking? She was the one who killed everyone, and now Incredibox Sprunki is currently the hottest topic on YouTube, with countless alternative mods proving its popularity. In some mods, characters survive. In others, they become even scarier. But there's one mod where everyone literally swaps places, and I just have to show it to you. It could completely change our understanding of the Incredibox Sprunki universe. At first glance, it seems like nothing has changed. But if you take a closer look at the icons, you'll notice that none of the characters or their usual order remains the same. Let's start with one of my favorite Sprunki, Ratty. He has literally turned into a dragon. He's grown horns, big ears, and most interestingly, wings. Yet, his melody has stayed the same. Just like in the canon, Ratty in this mod has a pretty nasty personality, and this is confirmed information. Orin, on the other hand, has barely changed. The only differences are his horns replacing his ears and a slightly longer hairstyle. Garnold, meanwhile, has only kept his color from the original mod. Now we can see his eyes, but the most surprising detail is a nod to his creator, Kluker. Garnold now sports an antenna on his head, just like Kluker had in the canon. This makes it unclear how to properly name them, but I'm confident they've kept their original names, so we'll stick to what we know for sure. Mr. Fun hasn't changed at all in appearance, unlike Lime, who looks less terrifying now compared to the original. I'd even say that Lime now seems to have a bit of a gender identity crisis. After all, his reference is Vineria. Even though we know Lime is definitely male, that little flower on his head raises some questions. Okay, I'm joking here. Of course, we're sticking to canon, and Lime remains a boy. That flower, though, it's the same kind of plant that Vineria had in the original lore. The one that ultimately killed her. As for Wenda, her role in this universe makes us reconsider her guilt in the deaths of most Sprunki. In the original, we saw her overly cheerful and borderline crazy. But in this mod, she resembles Gray, whom we already established as 100% not a killer. Plus, let's be real, those earrings look great on her. I doubt anyone would argue with that. Simon and Brood seem to share some kind of personal connection, and this mod reinforces that idea. Here, Simon almost completely mirrors Brood's original design, meaning Simon now takes the title of least intelligent instead of Brood. Kluker has kept his horn, but aside from that, he's almost unrecognizable because in this mod, Kluker is a full-on cyborg. What if in this universe Garnold created Kluker instead of the other way around? That would be a mind-blowing plot twist. And then there's Vineria. She's turned into a shadow of her former self. Once a cheerful and lively character, she's now mentally broken, exactly like Lime was in the original. In this alternate mod, Pinky takes Sky's place, and at first glance, you might think Pinky is a boy. But since we see two adorable bows on her ears, we can confidently say that Pinky is still the sweet girl we know. This universe doesn't include Sun, and he's replaced by a new character. Whether this is the moon or Jupiter isn't entirely clear, but I'm leaning toward the moon. Derpal, like Ratty, remains one of my favorite characters in Incredibox Sprunki. In this mod, he's slightly altered his horns and seems to have morphed into Tunner, deciding that this color suits him much better. The mushroom character? Well, he raises a lot of questions for me, and plenty of laughs. Let's just say he exists. Much like Mr. Tree, he doesn't seem to have much impact on the storyline. We've already mentioned Brood in this video, and now he looks like Simon. In the original lore, Brood was considered the least intelligent among all Sprunki. But in this mod, Simon takes on that role. This means Brood now has the ability to transform into a monster. And considering he's just as foolish as in the original, this is far more concerning than Simon's monster version ever was. Tunner now resembles Derpal more, but apart from his slightly modified horns and, of course, the new color, there aren't any drastic changes to him. Funbot takes Mr. Fun's place, but just like with the original computer, I didn't notice any significant external differences. Gray gets the biggest upgrade compared to the rest. He's now taken on the role of Wenda, striking fear into the hearts of all the other Sprunki. Which version of Gray do you like better? The gloomy, scared, and depressed one, or the dominant and fearsome version we see in this mod? Sky has barely changed except for losing some of his hair, and now he performs Pinky's song. And here we are, the most intriguing icon of them all. I'm not even sure if I should give it a try yet since we haven't seen Jevin, but given how everything is flipped upside down in this mod, and with Jevin's icon being the last one, I'm willing to take the risk. Wow, Black looks seriously stylish in this mod. It's pretty clear now that he and Jevin have swapped roles, and we finally get to see Black alongside the rest of the crew. No surprises here. Choosing Jevin throws us straight into the second phase, just like before. Now that we've figured out who replaces who, it's time to dive into the second phase of this alternate mod and hunt for new killers who managed to stay hidden in the original. Let's quickly break down the second phase. The first thing that grabs your attention is Jevin's icon, featuring the mysterious girl we originally saw on Mr. Tree's trunk. Ratty suffered just as much as he did in the canon storyline. His wing is even broken. Spoiler alert, many characters experience the same pain as in the original, but with roles swapped. Each one now faces the fate of their counterparts. Lime has turned into a monster, and honestly, I think this role suits him even more than it did Vineria. On the other hand, Wenda now faces the deepest psychological pain of her life. She has become gray, and honestly, it feels deserved. Looking at Simon, it's clear the mod creator put incredible effort into crafting each character's story. In the original, Brood suffered much more, but we know he canonically has a tiny brain, which is why Simon's attack didn't fully harm him. However, in this mod, Simon has a normal brain and was incredibly lucky to survive the attack from a crazed Brood. Here, Brood is the most terrifying character of the second phase. Kluker reminds me of Lime from the original, as he also has issues with his lower jaw. However, since Lime and Vineria swapped roles in this universe, it makes sense. Vineria is no longer a monster, but instead a mentally broken girl. Pinky suffered even more than Sky did in the original second phase. And as for Luna, she decided the creepiest spot for her horrifying eye was right in her mouth. Remember when I said this was Derpal? Now I'm starting to have doubts. If everyone swapped roles, why haven't Derpal's actions in the second phase changed at all? The same goes for Tunner. Honestly, I'm confused. Who's Tunner and who's Derpal? Let me know in the comments. Gray is no longer worried or scared about anything. He's actually thrilled with everything going on since he's now Wenda. Black, just like Jevin, managed to transition between phases without a scratch. As for the other characters, most of them went through the same transformations as their counterparts in the original mod. Now, it's time to figure out who the new killer is. Besides the Gray, we already know. In one of my previous videos, I concluded that Lime was the second killer who helped Wenda wipe out everyone else. Since Vineria takes Lime's place in this alternate mod, it would make sense that the new killers operating with a plan are Gray and Vineria. Meanwhile, Brood and Lime might have harmed others unintentionally because of their strange abilities. Abilities that saved their own lives but caused destruction around them. What are your thoughts on this alternate Incredibox Sprunki mod? That's it for today's video. See you next time, and bye-bye.